Hi there, welcome back to a brand new Drive and Talk video with Ren. That's me. And in this video, I want to talk about what it takes to be a real man. Now, first of all, I don't value the traditional gender division of men and women when it comes to things like this, because in my opinion, whatever it takes to be a real man should be the same as whatever it takes to be a real woman, right? So you could say it's more like, what does it take to be a real good human being? Because all the old traditional values of what it takes to be a man, right? To be protective, to be strong, to provide. I think in today's world, the division between genders when it comes to those things, they aren't really here in the Western world, right? When we're talking about the Western world. In other parts of the world, maybe there is, right? Because, for example, if you live in India or in many parts of Asia, you still have to do a lot of hard labor, and maybe then there are more divisions, there are more traditional views in how those things are separated. But I think in the Western world there's not really any difference, because there is still some hard labor, but usually they're more mechanized, or there are other ways where basically anyone can do these professions, right? So I don't think that those traits, like being protective, being the breadwinner, should be stuck to one specific gender. What are the universal ways that you can be a real man or a real woman? That's what I want to talk about. So there are many, I think, but let's go over three, right? The three main ones, in my opinion. Now, the first one is to have a clear direction of where you're going and stick to that road, right? In my opinion, that's what it takes to be a real man or a real woman or a real good person, right? So that basically means having high moral standards and things that you really thought about, of what you want, what you don't want, what you accept, what you don't accept, what you tolerate, and what you don't tolerate, right? That can be perceived as having a straightforward path that you're on and that you're taking and that you're sticking to, right? For example, I know exactly what I accept, what I don't accept, what I tolerate, what I don't tolerate, and I always stick to that. I don't deviate from that. If you do, in my opinion, you just go with the flow. You just go wherever there's the least amount of pressure, where there's the least amount of resistance. And in my opinion, that's the opposite of being a real man. That's the opposite of being a real woman, right? So that's one, having a clear path and sticking to that path. Number two is to always honor your word, right? So if you say you're going to do something, you better do it, right? If you say you're not going to do something, then definitely don't do it, right? Doesn't matter what the situation is. Doesn't matter how much money is involved, by the way, so things like that. So basically it just means if you promise something, you'll do anything in your power to make it happen. If you say you're not going to do something, no matter what the situation is, how much money is involved, what the pressure is, you're not going to do it, right? And I think sticking to your word, doing what you say you'll do, is something that we all admire, right? when we look at, people we admire, heroes. When you look at, for example, resistance fighters in wartime, they stuck to their ideals, right? They said they were going to do something and they're going to do it, right? Of course, it's highly related to the first one, right? Where you have a path that you're on and that you are staying on, you're sticking to that path. And this one is also important. It's, if you promise something, you're going to do it, right? If you promise not to do something, you're not going to do it. So they're all part of a set of high moral values that define you as a real man or a real woman. Someone to depend on, right? Someone to know that when this person is involved in a project, in a team, you can rely on that person. And I think that's what we all should strive to be, right? And the third one, in my opinion, is pretty simple, is to be kind and just, right? The ancient Stoics talked about this a lot. And there's a reason why it's still a very important part of many doctrines and ways of life that champion these two traits, right? To be kind, I think, is a really big one, especially in this world where people are more focused on themselves. Just to be kind, it makes such a difference in people's lives, and not just in people's individual lives, but it's very contagious. So I use public transportation every day, right? So in the train, in the bus, I'm just being kind, right? And it just elevates yourself, but also the people around you, right? Just the other day, I had to take the bus. I was on time at the bus, but there was a man who was blind, who had a blind guiding dog, right? And he was asking the bus driver, "Can you please help me, because I can't see the numbers on the bus?" But the bus driver said, and I understand, "I'm sorry, I have to drive the bus, and I'm on a specific route, and I'm very pressed for time." So I said to this man, "Sir, can I help you? What do you need?" So he needed to find a specific bus number, so I walked him and his dog, and we looked together for the bus number. Yes, I missed my bus, right? But the bus driver was very happy. There were people around who were saying like, "Wow, okay, good job, you're helping this blind man find his bus." It's just being kind. Yes, I missed the bus, so I got to work 10 minutes later. Like, who cares, right? So just to be kind, right? And also to be kind to yourself. That's also very important, right? So be kind to others, but also be kind to yourself, right? That's a whole different story about self-love and, all of that. But that's another topic for another video. And the other one is to be just, right? Treat everybody the same. Treat them as you want to be treated. That's being just, right? And same goes for, that ties into the first one and the second one, of course. So always be just. So maybe you have to be just in a situation where, it's not the best choice for you, but you still have to be just, right? Yeah, these are just, in my opinion, the three pillars of what it takes to be a real man or a real woman, or just a really good person. I hope this was helpful for you guys, and I hope you recognize yourself in some of these traits. Maybe you have completely other ideas about what a real man or woman should be. Let me know in the comments. I'll talk to you again soon.